You have one memory you're absolutely sure of. You can see it exactly. You know where you stood, what you felt, how it ended. But part of it never happened. Not because your memory is bad. Everyone's does this. Quietly, every single day, your brain adds things that were never there and hands them to you as the truth, with the same certainty as everything else. Why do you remember things that never happened? And this isn't some small error at the edges. It reaches all the way down to the memories you built, who you are on. And there's one I'll come back to at the very end. The one memory you love most, because that's the one your brain did the most to. In 1932, a psychologist from Cambridge, Frederick Bartlett, did something simple. He gave people a short, strange story to read, from another culture full of things that didn't fit European logic. Ghosts, boats, a death with no explanation. Then he asked them to retell it. A while later, again, and once more. And every time, the story changed. People cut out what was strange. They added what made sense. They smoothed it, tidied it, wrote in reasons where there were none. Until what was left was a clean, logical story that fit their heads, and they were sure they were repeating exactly what they'd read. Bartlett saw something no one had named before. Memory doesn't replay. Memory retells. A little differently each time, and each time you're sure it's the same story. Fine. But that was a foreign tale nobody cared about. What about your real memories? Something you saw with your own eyes? In '74, Elizabeth Loftus, a memory researcher from California, showed people a film. A car crash. 2 cars. Then she asked how fast they were going when they hit each other. Except for one group, she swapped the word hit for the word smashed. One word of difference. The smashed group gave a higher speed, but that's not it yet. A week later, she asked everyone whether there'd been broken glass at the scene. The smashed group remembered glass. Broken glass on the road. Clearly, there was no glass in the film. One word, a week earlier, and the brain drew in glass that no one had seen, because it fit the word smashed. They saw that crash with their own eyes, and it could still be rewritten. Fine, you can swap out a detail. But a whole invented event, one that never happened at all, you can't push that into someone's head. Or can you? The same Loftus, 20 years later. She took people and told each of them 4 stories from their childhood. 3 real, gathered earlier from the family, 1 made up. The made-up one was always the same. That at 5 years old, they got lost in a shopping mall, cried, panicked, and in the end, some older man walked them back to their parents. None of it happened. The family confirmed every time that it never took place, and roughly 1 in 4 people took the memory in. They didn't just nod along, they started telling it, adding details no one had given them, what the man looked like, what he was wearing, how scared they were. They built a whole scene around something that never was, out of their own details, invented on the spot. This wasn't a swap detail anymore. This was a whole childhood that never was, told with conviction and with tears, as if it had really happened. And this isn't a game in a lab. Loftus spent the rest of her life in courtrooms. She testified in hundreds of cases where everything hung on one thing, on a person who stood up in court, pointed a finger at the accused, and said they were absolutely certain. That's him. I remember that face. Because a mistaken witness is the single most common cause of convictions later overturned by DNA, more than 2/3 of them. Innocent people went to prison for years, sometimes for decades, because someone remembered their face, remembered it clearly, remembered it with total certainty. And it was the wrong face. Fine. But those were things from years ago. Or a stranger's face in stress and a crowd. What about the memories that feel impossible to shake? The ones burned in a single second, when something huge happened and the world froze for a moment. You remember everything then. Where you stood, who told you, what you were wearing. Memory like a photograph. And it turns out, those are exactly the memories that lie the most. In '86, in front of all of America, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. People watched it live on television. The next morning, a psychologist, Ulrich Neisser, gave students slips of paper and told them to write down exactly where they were when they found out, what they were doing, who they heard it from. He put those slips away for almost 3 years. Then he found the same students and asked them the same question. He got answers that were confident, detailed. People could see that moment exactly. They knew where they were sitting, who walked in, what they felt. Except for many of them, it didn't match at all what they'd written the day after. Not a little, completely. A different place, different people, a different situation. One student was shown her own slip. Her handwriting, her hand, written the next day. She looked at it and said, "That's my handwriting, but that's not how it happened." She trusted the vivid memory more than her own note from 3 years before, and that's the worst of it. She had no signal that anything was wrong. The memory was clear, she felt it in her whole body, and it was false, because the certainty you feel about a memory says nothing about whether it really happened. The more vivid and powerful a memory, the more you trust it. And those are exactly the ones rewritten most often. And it's not that everyone gets it wrong in their own way. Sometimes whole crowds get it wrong in exactly the same way. Think of the man from the Monopoly game, the one in the top hat. Most people picture him with a monocle. He never had a monocle. Or the most famous line from Star Wars, the one about the father. Almost everyone remembers it as, "Luke, I am your father." The word Luke is never said.
He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
This is called the Mandela effect. And it's not that someone slipped up once. It's that thousands of people independently remember the same thing wrong in the same way. Because the brain didn't store the detail. It stored the rough shape and filled the rest with whatever fits. And everyone filled it the same way because everyone guesses by the same rules. All of this leads to one question. If the brain rewrites memories this easily, how does it hold them at all? Where's the bug? And the answer is that it isn't a bug. It's supposed to work this way. For a long time, people thought memory was like a shelf. You save a memory, put it away, and it lies there untouched until you reach for it. You pull it out, replay it, put it back the same. In the year 2000, a neuroscientist, Karim Nader, showed that's not true. That when you pull a memory out, it isn't sitting safely on the shelf. It comes out. It goes soft, open, changeable. And before it goes back, the brain has to write it down again, from scratch. And it writes it through today's you, through what you know now, what you feel now, who you are now. Every reach for a memory leaves a fingerprint on it, which means you never remember the event. You remember the last time you remembered it, and that time remembered the one before. A copy of a copy of a copy, drifting further from something that's already gone. This isn't a flaw. Your brain was never built to store your past. It was built so you could imagine your future. A neuroscientist, Daniel Schachter, showed that remembering and imagining what hasn't happened yet run on the same circuits in the brain. It's the same machine. And some years ago, researchers took people who'd lost their memory to brain damage. And it turned out they didn't just fail to remember the past. They couldn't imagine the future either. Ask a person like that to describe what tomorrow at the beach will look like, and they can't put anything together. Because to invent the future, the brain uses pieces of the past. It cuts up old memories and glues them into something that hasn't happened yet. For it to do that, memories have to be soft, movable, able to be rearranged. Your memory is flexible for a reason. It's flexible because it's meant to serve tomorrow, not yesterday. A rigid, exact recording would be useless for that. You pay for being able to imagine your life forward with the fact that your life backward won't hold still. Now take the memory you love most, your child's first steps. The day someone said they loved you, the last time you saw someone who's gone. That's the memory you reach for most. You go back to it, replay it, live it again. So it's also the memory you've rewritten the most. Opened most often, changed most often. The more precious something is to you, the more it's been reworked. What you have in your head now isn't that day, it's the version you assembled last time. Everything that's happened since has soaked into it, and the original is gone. You can't go back to it because every time you try, you overwrite it again, and you'll never notice. There's no hole, no note saying something was changed here. There's a smooth, certain, vivid picture, the same one that moves you to tears, the one you built, who you are out of. You have memories you're absolutely sure of. You can see them exactly. And the ones you go back to most often are the ones furthest from what actually happened. You don't remember your life. You remember the last version you told yourself about it.